For as long as people have been reading comics or following franchises with multiple creators, there's been a problem: continuity. In the world of Marvel and DC, the answer became the multiverse. Each storyline, each reboot, each interpretation, it was given its own numbered universe. That way, stories could contradict one another, and instead of tearing the fanbase apart, it was accepted that they simply existed on different branches of the same tree. Superman could die in one timeline and live forever in another. Spider-Man could be a teenager, an adult, or even a pig, and nobody would even argue about which one was the real version. By numbering universes, comics transformed chaos into order, giving fans a framework to enjoy every story without dismissing one another. But what if we applied the same lens to Silent Hill? For over 25 years, the series has been locked in a constant battle between fans, creators, hell, even Konami itself. The story shifts with every entry, every remake, and every creative handoff. What one game establishes, another rewrites, or outright ignores. To some, Silent Hill is a town shaped by cult rituals. To others, it's a mirror of guilt and trauma. Sometimes it's a living nightmare shaped by the characters themselves, other times it's a cold, objective evil that doesn't care who stumbles into the fog. For decades, the question has haunted the community: what is canon? What is real? Which game should be taken as truth? And which should be discarded as theory, speculation, or outright mistakes? I believe there's a better way to look at this. Just as the comic industry did, we can stop fighting about what counts and start cataloging what exists. Every new version of Silent Hill, whether from Team Silent or Western developers or even film adaptations, can be treated as a separate universe, one that runs parallel to one another. You can number them, define them, accept that they coexist, and instead of dismissing what doesn't fit, we can organize it. This doesn't just honor every creator's interpretation, but it also ends the cycle of fans tearing each other apart over canon debates that have lasted a quarter of a century, to be fairly honest. By numbering the Silent Hill universe, we finally have a way to respect the past, embrace the present, and prepare for whatever new visions may come in the future. The town has never really stayed the same, so why should we pretend it needs to? With this system, we can chart the fog like never before, and in the process, maybe, just maybe, bring peace to one of gaming's longest-running lore wars. This whopper of a theory will be titled Now, it should be noted this is the rules on how this is going to be operated. There's no theory or guesswork here. It's only the foundation Silent Hill itself provides. Universes will be clustered according to the town's core laws and restrictions, with a few outside influences where necessary. These rules act as barriers that keep each universe separated and intact, and for the sake of clarity, each universe will also be given a number and a name. If you spot a gap or a contradiction in these rules, drop a comment, because I want to see if this system is as airtight as I think it is. Or maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, let's get into it. Universe number 1, the Father Universe. This universe is the origin point. Silent Hill exists here not as a psychological construct, but as a scarred and cursed vessel. Its foundations entwined with the Order's desperate, cruel faith and the tragedy of a single child, Alessa Gillespie. Every shadow, every grotesque monster, and every shifting wall is born from a ritualistic abuse, the twisted ambitions of the cultists, and the bloodline scars carried from parent to child. This is the Father Universe, because everything begins here, with the Order attempting to birth their god through Alessa's suffering. The town in this reality is not a mirror to the guilty psyche, as it would be later interpreted in other universes. Instead, it's a divine battlefield, a place where ritual trauma cracks open reality itself. Silent Hill becomes less a town and more of a reliquary, holding fragments of Alessa's mind, fear, and pain. The mist and the rust are divine punishments bleeding into the physical world because of the failed ritual. People do not stumble into the nightmare because of their own sins. They are caught in Alessa's curse, absorbed in a war between faith, flesh, and grief. The core tragedy, however, is Alessa's pain. At the center of the Father Universe lies Alessa Gillespie. Burned, broken, and cast into an endless half-life, her mind splits the town into multiple layers of reality. This is not a punishment of her design, but an inevitable recoil of divine power forced upon her fragile body. Her suffering echoes like a curse. Those who enter Silent Hill are drawn into the remnants of her mind. Monsters are her memories, twisted rituals are her echoes, and the cultists are both the perpetrators and the caretakers of her torment. Here the rules are clear. Silent Hill belongs to Alessa and the Order. Guilt, shame, or random fate play no part. This is a universe of lineage, where trauma is passed down like inheritance. Harry Mason's adopted daughter Cheryl is born from Alessa's fractured soul. Heather Mason later inherits Alessa's entire essence. The cycle's unbroken. Every life touched by Alessa is bound to the nightmare, doomed to wrestle with the cult's shadow. The games in this universe are as follows: Silent Hill, the original, Silent Hill 3, Silent Hill Origins, and the Silent Hill play novel, as well as Orphan. Silent Hill 1 is the foundation of the Father universe. Harry Mason is drawn into Silent Hill after his adopted daughter Cheryl disappears, only to learn she is the fragment of Alessa. The game establishes Harry as the protective father who goes against the cult to save his child. Silent Hill 3 is a direct continuation. You now play as Heather Mason as she continues through the Father universe by carrying Harry's legacy forward. Harry himself is killed off screen, but his presence drives Heather's journey as she faces the cult once more. Silent Hill Origins, though technically a prequel, belongs in this universe because it sets the stage for Harry's story. Travis Grady isn't a father himself, but the plot centers around Alessa's suffering, her birth of the split child, and the chain of events that later ensnare Harry. Travis acts as an unwitting handoff into Harry's fatherhood arc. In the Silent Hill play novel, it's a retelling of the original Silent Hill story, reinforcing Harry's role as a father. Though it is a visual novel adaptation, it doesn't deviate from the Father universe's rules. It simply represents Harry's struggle to save Cheryl. And then lastly, Silent Hill Orphan. This takes place in an abandoned orphanage tied to the cult's past. When it moves outside Harry himself, the focus on children shaped and damaged by the cult roots it firmly to the same universe. These children are victims of the same forces Harry battled against, making it a natural extension of the Father universe's themes. The Father universe establishes Silent Hill as the origin myth, the foundational stone. It is the place where divinity and abused are intertwined, creating a curse that bleeds into generations. Anyone touched by Alessa's pain is swallowed into the fog, whether they want it or not. Silent Hill is not a mirror, it's a scar that never heals no matter how many lives are lost to it. This makes the Father universe both the most tragic and the most cohesive of the multiversal interpretations of Silent Hill. It's not about guilt or personal punishment, it's about the inevitability of inherited trauma. And in that, perhaps, it's the most terrifying part of this entire story. Universe number 2, the Restless Dreams universe. The Restless Dreams universe represents a dramatic evolution of Silent Hill itself. Unlike the Father universe, where the town is tethered to occult rituals and the tragedy of Alessa Gillespie, here Silent Hill no longer exists as a cursed vessel for a specific bloodline. Instead, the town has become a personal purgatory, a psychological labyrinth tailored to the innermost fears, guilts, and obsessions of anyone who steps in the fog. Every twisted street, every warped building, every monstrous form is drawn directly from the mind and conscience of the visitor. Silent Hill adapts itself, becoming a reflection of your own sins rather than an echo of someone else's trauma. In this universe, the cult is irrelevant. The town doesn't answer to a deity or a ritualistic mandate. It's autonomous, a sentient space shaped by the psychic energy of those who enter. In this instance, the other world emerges from the deepest recesses of your guilt. It punishes, it teaches, and it forces confession. Not only is no one safe, but you're the architect of your own nightmare, whether you want it to or not. Silence, regret, and obsession warp reality. Even the familiar streets of the town become alien when viewed through this lens. The central theme is private torment. Unlike the Father universe, where trauma is inherited or imposed from outside, here the nightmare is deeply personal. Each visitor faces a reflection of themselves, a world built entirely around what they fear to acknowledge. Pain is internalized, guilt is externalized. There's no single story of Silent Hill in this universe because each person's experience is unique. Yet the town enforces a singular, unyielding law that you must confront the truth within you or be consumed by it. The games of this universe, of course, will be Silent Hill 2. It's the quintessential example. James Sunderland arrives in Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his deceased wife, Mary. The town manifests his grief, obsession, and guilt. Every monster, every shift in architecture, and every distorted soundscape reflects the sins he carries and the lies he refuses to confront. Silent Hill in this universe is a mirror, and James' journey is about confronting the consequences of his actions and desires, not the schemes of a distant cult. In Silent Hill 2: Restless Dreams, this expanded edition is only reinforcing the rules of the universe. Born from a Wish will obviously be in the same universe as well, as it's an expansion of Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 4: The Room is a little more subtle. While Dahlia Gillespie is mentioned and cult elements exist in the background, the town itself does not follow the same mechanics as Silent Hill 2. Instead, Walter Sullivan creates a localized variant of Silent Hill, essentially shaping a side universe around his obsession and his ritualistic murders. This pocket town still reflects the psychological torment of its participants, particularly with Henry Townsend. Now, it would have been its own universe had it not been for the fact that Frank Sunderland makes an appearance in the game explaining that his son had went to Silent Hill, thus kind of being the only connection to Silent Hill 2. But as it stands right now, this seems to be the only visible and clear-cut connection to another Silent Hill. So for that reason, we're going to place it in the Restless Dreams universe. Now, Silent Hill Townfall is a bit different because the details are limited. As of yet, we have no actual plot synopsis. However, based on the dialogue and the back and forth between the gentlemen talking in the radio in the trailer, we know that it is based on the idea that Silent Hill finds a way to attack you based on what you've done and your past sins. This is all we really know. And because this is all we really know, I'm going to place it in the Restless Dreams universe for now until we get something more cohesive. The last one is the Silent Hill Pachinko machine, which is simply a retelling of Silent Hill 2 via a pachinko machine. And nothing is exempt from the rules here. Silent Hill, while it is a pachinko machine and everyone hates it dearly, it still retells the plot of Silent Hill 2, despite all things, so it will go in there. By distinguishing the Restless Dreams universe from the Father universe, we can finally see that some horrors are inherited and others are earned. Silent Hill 2 and its offshoots are not about legacy or ritual, they're about guilt, obsession, and the unavoidable confrontation with one's own conscience. Silent Hill here punishes for truth, not for blood, and it's in this distinction that the Restless Dreams universe finds its clarity and cohesion, and fanbase. Universe number 3, the Shepherd universe. The Shepherd universe is a universe defined by legacy, family, and the cost of breaking tradition. Unlike the Father universe, where Silent Hill's power centers on Alessa and the cult, here the town is a punishment ground for generational sins. The rules are clear. Families who enter into pacts with the town are bound to those agreements across generations, and any betrayal or deviation is met with a brutal supernatural retribution. Silent Hill enforces these debts violently, turning family betrayal into personal nightmare. In this universe, the sins of the parents are not abstract. They manifest as real, tangible horrors that consume their children. The town operates like a ledger, tracking bloodlines and punishing those who stray from family obligations or attempt to escape inherited duties. It is a cruel reflection of the way legacies can trap the next generation, twisting the familiar into the monstrous. The only game in this universe is Silent Hill Homecoming. Alex Shepard's return to Shepherd's Glen embodies the rules of this universe perfectly. The town's otherworld mirrors the broken promises and sins of the family, and the horrors he faces as a direct result of generational failures. Silent Hill punishes the Shepherd bloodline for transgressions long before Alex was born, enforcing its own strict sense of inherited justice. The town itself becomes an unyielding arbiter of familial guilt, and Alex's journey is a testament to the universe's central law. Your bloodline defines the punishment you will endure. As a result, Silent Hill here is hereditary power made manifest. Unlike universes defined by personal guilt or cult curses, the Shepherd universe is a study in legacy. The town enforces the sins of the past, punishing bloodlines for what came before, and making it clear that no descendant can escape the debts of their ancestors. It is a precise, targeted nightmare, a universe of inheritance, obligation, and inescapable weight of family. Universe number 4, the Baroness universe. Okay, welcome to the Baroness universe. This is where Silent Hill decides to throw subtlety out the window and just go full-on spooky haunted house. The rules are simple. If a spirit feels like it, it haunts you. And if you're unlucky enough to stumble upon the fog, congratulations, you're now part of a curse that nobody bothered to explain. Unlike its more serious siblings, this town doesn't care about cults, personal guilt, or karmic debt. No, instead it's basically Ghost Town. The rules are... well, in the Baroness universe, the town behaves like a story your grandmother might tell you in a campfire drinking one too many glasses of sherry. Malevolent spirits exist, they want to scare you, and they absolutely do not care if you understand why. If you think, wait, what's happening? It's a natural human reaction. Congratulations, you've played the game correctly. Silent Hill doesn't punish sins, it just punishes you. You can be innocent, guilty, or just taking a stroll through, and you just get yanked into a ghostly vendetta. The theme is revenge, kind of. A spirit attached to the town drags unsuspecting outsiders into its eternal nightmare, usually in ways that don't really make much sense. Is this tragic? Sure, if you count the tragedy of being forced to play this game, really. It was a bad game. It was just a bad game. It gets its own universe, and it's entitled the Baroness Universe, named after the ship of the game Silent Hill the Arcade. It's the light gun rail shooter that asks you to take Silent Hill seriously while shoving monsters in your face with the subtlety of a clown hammer. The narrative is minimal, the puzzles are non-existent, and the story is about as cohesive and coherent as a drunk ghost reading Shakespeare. But it fits the Baroness universe. It's its own universe. And for that, it will get the number 4, and we will move on. Universe number 5, the Frost universe. The Frost universe represents a chilling evolution of Silent Hill, one that turns the town inward and focuses entirely on the mind of the visitor. In the Frost universe, it treats Silent Hill as a psychological snow globe, a reflective space that adapts, reshapes, and interrogates the individual at every step. Here the town is mutable, not merely because of sin or obsession, but because the human psyche itself is fragile, malleable, and haunted by memory. The rules here are memory as reality. In this universe, Silent Hill is a mirror, but a highly deceptive one. The town constantly adapts to the visitor's memories, fears, and emotional state, refracting reality through their perception. Streets shift, buildings melt into ice, familiar faces take on monstrous or altered forms. The other world is not static, it's a living puzzle that asks, how well do you know yourself? Survival is not only a matter of escaping physical danger, it's about navigating your own mind, confronting truths that are painful, and reconciling with memories that may not even be accurate. The town also tests relationships and perception. Characters are judged through the lens of your actions, words, and choices. Allies may become enemies, strangers may become mirrors of your guilt, and the very environment reacts to psychological cues that are sometimes subconscious. In the Frost universe, everything you see is filtered through your own psyche, and the line between reality and nightmare are permanently blurred. The theme overall is reflection, obsession, and fragility of yourself. It's about introspection under duress. It explores the tension between who we are and who we wish to be, forcing the visitor to confront hidden desires, regrets, and fears. The cold, snowy atmosphere amplifies isolation and introspection, creating a sense that the town itself is a living diary that records emotional failures and unspoken truths. Horror emerges not only from external monsters alone, but the frozen truths reflected back at the visitor. The only game in the series should be obvious, but that would be Silent Hill Shattered Memories. Harry Mason arrives in town reshaped by his own psychology, where every encounter, puzzle, and environment shifts according to his fears and memories. The game's constant reinterpretation of events, changing characters' roles, the town's geography, or even Harry's history illustrates that the Frost universe's core law is Silent Hill responds to the psyche of its visitor. The Frost universe also emphasizes the unreliability of perception. Unlike other universes where events follow a relatively consistent logic, Shattered Memories uses the town itself as a tool to distort, mislead, and interrogate. Even the most innocuous choices can drastically change the outcome, demonstrating that here, Silent Hill is not just a place of punishment or reflection, it's a living psychological experiment, cold, probing, and merciless. In this universe, Silent Hill becomes a frozen crucible in the mind. Trauma, fear, and regret are not inherited or imposed by cults, they are distilled through memory and perception. The town pushes, reveals, punishes, and isolates, creating a horror that's both intimate and universal. Every street, every shadow, and every reflection is a test. Can the visitor face themselves honestly, or will the Frost consume them? In essence, in the Frost universe, you're an architect of your own nightmare. Universe number 6, the Purgatory universe. The Purgatory universe is the no-frills, survival-focused side of Silent Hill. Here, the town exists as a confined space designed to trap and punish anyone who enters. It doesn't worry about all that pesky plot-related stuff. The rules are simple. You're stuck, you must survive, and the world will keep throwing obstacles at you until you escape. Silent Hill in this universe kind of works like a maze. There's danger everywhere, monsters roam freely, and puzzles exist to slow you down, not to teach you lessons or explore your inner self or anything like that. It's just self-contained, repetitive, and relentless. The rules are that clear and that simple. The town won't bend for emotion or morality, it just punishes failure and rewards caution. The games for this universe were selected due to the fact that they simply went nowhere. They kind of just existed, they had no bearing on anything, and they were, if anything, just a mindless cash grab more times than not. The games include Silent Hill: The Escape and the Silent Hill Apache slot game called Escape, all of which had no purpose. They weren't retellings of stories, they weren't anything, they were just what they were. In this universe, Silent Hill is a self-contained purgatory for that reason. If you play it, you're putting yourself in there physically. It punishes indiscriminately, operates predictably, and does not care about the meaning or morality of any plotline whatsoever. The horror is basic, the danger is everywhere, the escape is difficult, and the failure is immediate. It is by far the most minimalist of all the Silent Hill universes that exist. Universe number 7, the Confined universe. Now, this is a Silent Hill that functions as a prison for both the body and mind. The town is about restriction, containment, and the boundaries of human experience. It punishes not because of sins, obsessions, or family legacy, but simply because it can. Escape is not guaranteed, and every corner hides both danger and mystery. The core rules here are being bound in place. Silent Hill in this universe is a space of confinement. It's tight, claustrophobic, and relentless, with physical spaces that trap the visitor and mental spaces that amplify despair. Always twists, apartments lock, and even attempts at rational escape are met with supernatural interference. Survival is a test of endurance, perception, and the ability to navigate a place that refuses to let go. The rules are simple, but they are very strict. The town isolates its visitors. Hazards are unavoidable until lessons or challenges are confronted. And the environment itself enforces confinement, shaping the otherworld to block escape, and prolonged suffering. The central theme of the Confined universe is isolation under duress. Visitors are forced to confront the limitations of their own bodies and minds, often in settings that are deliberately oppressive. Locked apartments, corridors, labyrinth buildings. The horrors come from restriction itself. You can't act freely, and every move matters. It's a meditation on the human need for freedom that psychologically takes a toll on you. The games in this universe are Silent Hill Downpour and Silent Hill Book of Memories. Silent Hill Downpour is the core of the story and the core of the universe. I'm going to pull my attention to Silent Hill Book of Memories, which I'm sure you're rubbing your chin and probably just disagreeing or going straight to the comments, and talk about its connection for a second. It's actually a very, very simple one, too. The confined themes and spaces, and the other being Mr. Howard Blackwood. Now, Howard Blackwood was the mailman leading Murphy Pendleton through a lot of Silent Hill Downpour. He made a wonderful appearance in Silent Hill Book of Memories after the fact, leading a number of different custom rando kids through the dungeons that is Silent Hill in Book of Memories. This is quite literally the only connection I have between the two, but because he's such a strong and prominent character, I decided to place him in the Confinement universe. If he did not fit, or if this game did not fit in the Confinement universe, I would have given it its own universe called something like the Vita universe or the Diablo clone universe, something to that effect. But for the sake of making things simple, I put him in the same universe. It's not about legacy, cults, guild, any of that stuff in this one, though. I feel like this is what it's like to be trapped. This is how you're supposed to feel. Every visitor is tested by walls, doors, psychological limits. Freedom is earned slowly, punishment is immediate, and the horrors are inseparable from the environment itself. The Confined universe transforms the town into a physical and mental cage, proving that sometimes the most terrifying aspect of Silent Hill is simply that there is no escape. Universe number 8, the Kojima universe. This is just a remnant and shell of what it could have been, as we've only been given a demo before everything went belly up. Konami and Hideo Kojima started arguing and bickering amongst themselves, and before you knew it, Kojima was fired. After that, every project canceled, including Metal Gear projects and Silent Hill. This was one of them. PT showed a lot of promise, and it had Norman Reedus in it. And anytime Norman Reedus is in something, it apparently does well. And this actually inspired the need to make Death Stranding, so I'm not too mad. There really isn't anything else written on this because we really don't have anything else on this. Rest in peace, PT. Universe number 9. The Plague Universe. Now, the Plague Universe represents a radical departure from most Silent Hill stories. Here, the town is no longer a mirror for a single person or a punishment to a cult or anything like that. Instead, Silent Hill acts like a psychic contagion. It infects entire communities and drawing everyone into it like a shared nightmare. There's no selectivity. Innocent bystanders and guilty transgressors alike are trapped in the fog, forced to navigate horrors born of collective trauma. The rules here are really that the universe operates like a virus. The power spreads across families, neighborhoods, towns, embedding itself into the minds of all those nearby. The town's otherworld becomes a communal space where the suffering of one amplifies the torment of others. Events do not unfold linearly. The town bends time and space to entangle multiple perspectives, creating a horrific web of interconnected pain. Everyone is a potential host for the town's manifestation. Similar to the Shepherd universe, everything is connected by shared responsibility and inherited pain. It enforces the sins across generations, dragging entire families into nightmares forged by both history and psychic resonance. It's communal. One family's secrets ripple outward, and everyone in the town suffers for the consequences. The games included in this are only Silent Hill Ascension, as they run on the premise of this psychological virus. In the story, it's now at a point where Silent Hill is no longer selective or personal and simply infects everyone. And it rampages across the world as a contagion. Universe number 10, the SHP universe. This is everyone's favorite. The SHP universe represents a modern evolution of Silent Hill, one that adapts to the anxieties of the digital age. Unlike universes shaped by cults, guilt, inherited sins, here the town targets social and psychological vulnerabilities. Silent Hill becomes a predator that stalks its victims through the lens of technology, perception, societal pressure. The horror is immediate, intimate, and deeply reflective of contemporary fears. In this universe, the town amplifies shame, regret, and social anxiety. Online harassment, viral embarrassment, or personal secrets become catalysts for the otherworld. Silent Hill merges with the digital spaces, turning text, social feuds, and private messages into tools of terror. Victims find that their reputation, choices, and social perceptions no longer safe. and the town observes, manipulates, and punishes them for perceived failures. The rules are interesting. Number one, modern anxieties dictate the structure and monsters of the town. Technology can be a vector for terror, and escape requires confronting personal despair and societal pressures simultaneously. The theme is social decay. The SHP universe is about the intersection of internal weakness and external scrutiny. Shame, bullying, and the mental health crisis are amplified by the town into tangible, inescapable horrors. Silent Hill no longer relies on abstract trauma. It weaponizes the everyday social pressures and isolation of contemporary life. The monsters are no longer just symbolic, they are reflections of a digital age, guilt, fear, and despair. The only game in this universe is Silent Hill: The Short Message, obviously. The free psychological horror title embodies the universe's rules perfectly. It integrates digital communication and personal insecurities into a nightmare the game demonstrates by having the protagonist being stalked physically and psychologically, making every text, post, or message a potential trigger for terror. Silent Hill in the SHP universe is adaptive, modern, and merciless. It transforms technology into a hunting ground and mental health struggles into a landscape of horror. The town is no longer just a foggy, isolated place now. It follows its victims into their devices, their screens, their social lives. In this universe, Silent Hill mutates with the era, preying on those who live in the world dominated by online interaction and social scrutiny, ensuring that despair is not only personal but pervasive. Universe 11. The Mother Universe. The Mother Universe represents Silent Hill as a mythic cinematic space, where horror is not just personal or psychological. It's crafted for storytelling, spectacle, and emotional resonance. Here, the town blends cult mythology with the visual and narrative conventions of Hollywood, turning supernatural terror into a mythos shaped for audiences rather than for visitors themselves. Silent Hill in this universe obeys a set of rules designed as much for narrative clarity as for horror. The cult remains central, actively shaping the nightmare, but the focus is on thematic arcs of good versus evil. The otherworld reflects not only the sins and fears of its inhabitants, but also the dramatic need of the story. Plot beats, visual symbolism, and emotional climaxes are prioritized over subtle psychological terror. The rules are actually quite straightforward. The cult actively manipulates events to create conflict and resolution. Supernatural horrors are amplified for narrative impact rather than introspection, and maternal and paternal figures carry the thematic weight, driving both story and resolution. The theme overall is motherhood. The Mother Universe centers on parental influence and sacrifice. Rose, Heather, and other maternal or paternal figures take an active role in confronting the town's evil, often at a great personal cost. Here, horror is intertwined with family responsibility, devotion, and the instinct to protect loved ones. The town becomes a stage for those relationships to be tested, dramatized, and ultimately resolved. The movies in this universe are Silent Hill Revelation, and quite potentially the Return to Silent Hill coming soon. They all follow the same theme. However, because Return to Silent Hill will be following the storyline of Part 2, it remains to be seen if this truly remains in this universe, or will be in the Restless Dreams universe instead. For over 25 years, Silent Hill fans have argued, debated, and occasionally clashed over what is real, what is canon, and what should be dismissed as theory or speculation. The problem isn't the fans, it's the expectation that there must be a single definitive truth. But as we've seen, the games, comics, movies, and even pachinko machine entries all operate under different rules, different themes, different outcomes. Trying to force them all into one linear story doesn't actually work. Instead, perhaps it's time to embrace the multiverse, not as a storytelling gimmick, but as an organizational tool. By numbering each universe, naming it, and understanding its rules and themes, we can appreciate each entry on its own terms. You can pick your favorite universe, the one that resonates most, scares you most, or simply entertains you best, without the frustration of trying to reconcile contradictions. The Father Universe, Restless Dreams, Frost, Plague, Mother, and all the others exist side by side, each a valid expression of what Silent Hill can be. Multiverses have often been overused in fiction, to be fairly honest, but as a framework for understanding, they work beautifully. They give structure to chaos, clarity to complexity, and most importantly, they let fans enjoy the horror, the mystery, and the storytelling without turning every discussion into a battle over truth. In the end, Silent Hill is many things to many people, and maybe the healthiest way to engage with it is to pick the universe that speaks to you, step into its fog, and let it haunt you on its own terms. Anyway, shout out to everybody on my Patreon, and if you'd like and subscribe, I would certainly appreciate that, but yeah. Chew on that for a little bit, and then pop over into the comments and tell me if you agree, or better yet, why don't you pick your favorite universe and tell me about it. Alright, later.